Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Psychonaut Sessions. This is Daniel Moeller, and your home for all things psycho. And I'm here with really the best t-shirt designer of all comicdom,
There you go.
the one and only Craig CK. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to finally get to sit and talk with you. As we were talking before, you're this mysterious presence. You're like the shadow. You're like
Yeah, right.
you're really hard to find and look up, and to kind of like see where your imprint is. But you crop up everywhere. I first saw you in Image Grand Design, and then started seeing you crop up in the Cartoonist Kayfabe Ringside Seats community. And then when this like shirt landed and came out, for me it was like a phenomenon. This is actually my second one, because my first one got into the wash with I'm notorious as an artist for like leaving my pins in my pockets. And my wife is like, God damn it, Daniel, like like everything turns black and is all and I had one that was just it almost kind of would have looked cool, but the way it was on the shirt, it was ruined. At first I was like, it might kind of be neat having this ink splash, but I wanted a fresh one. So this is my second one, and it's one of my favorite shirts ever. So thank you.
Do you know the story behind that shirt?
No, I don't. Please.
I'll
Relay.
let you have it. So, like, I designed that shirt, and I love it, and I'm proud of it, and it sold a shit ton. But I have never seen a dime of it. Neither has Eli. He keeps it all in a fund, and he uses it quietly to back independent creator projects. So that was the idea. I try to be, I'm very giving, and I try to help out people when I can, because I think like I'm very of the mind of like, if you're in a position to help people, you should when you can. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That served me quite well. And,
Yeah.
So every time I see someone wearing that shirt, like I'm proud for a different reason. Like realistically, any schmo could have, come up with that idea. Like, it's not rocket appliances, but what I'm most proud of is that money gets set aside and is tossed in on, creative stuff. So it's really cool.
Well, that's exactly what, the spirit of Kirby's life too, man. That's fucking awesome.
I would think so, right? Like, pay it forward if you can. That's a big thing.
That's so needed in this climate that we're in. I was talking with Tony Farrow about this in my session with him, of just us trying to figure out what the independent climate of comics is right now, and how it was in the past, and how we can get this, how can we like evolve this phenomenon that we're kind of on this current that we're on right now, without corporatizing it, without losing the soul of what it is that we're doing. But how can we get to the place where maybe we are doing it for our full-time jobs?
I have an answer to that if you want it.
Yeah, I would love to hear what your thoughts are.
This isn't necessarily my thoughts, but Chris Anderson, who I have a man crush on that dude. I love his art.
Yeah, I love him too.
You know what I mean? Like, and he's always got the time of day for me. He's a great person, but him and I, he kind of brought it up first. He's like, hey, if everyone just supported each other in the kayfabe community, no matter what the book is. So we all have a pull list. So if everyone just put $20 in on someone's Kickstarter, we could all, it's an ecosystem that could work. And it's true. It's really true. Like, what's it take to back a Kickstarter? You know what I mean? So I try to back as many as I can, and try as much as I can. I don't want to come off sounding like a saint, because I'm also a cantankerous prick at times too.
I love you already.
And I'm very opinionated, which I'm sure you've seen in the kayfabe community. But yeah, I think if everyone supports everyone, to an extent, like, I'm not saying like the other day, I think there was 3 Kickstarters launched at once, like Rocco's and mine, and Peter Hensel, who owns Gotham Newsstand, and Stephen Thomas. We all launched at the same time, unbeknownst. You know what I mean? But even that could have been planned out better if there was some, communication or whatever. Right. But Stephen Thomas came to us and said something, I guess, about cross promoting, which is great because that guy's stuff is like next level. Like, I love that stuff. Mm-hmm. And it makes it tough being in Canada too, because a lot of these guys, like, it costs so much to ship. You know what I mean? So a lot of times I'm just donating and not getting, or I'll get the PDF. I won't get the physical book.
Right.
Which is kind of like, kind of shitty, but in the sense that at least I'm helping. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't even know how many digital books I have anymore. But to be honest, I buy more Kayfabers books than I do like anything from the big two or whatever.
Oh,
and
totally.
I'm proud of that. I think it's a good place to be.
Yeah. I was just actually going through my collection earlier today because I had some time off, and other than just old, like black and white, like 80s and 70s, like independent anthologies, which is like my main shtick. It was like primarily kayfabe books that I was like organizing and going through. It was so cool. It was just this amazing feeling to have aspects of my collection now, as opposed to, if I think like 10 years ago, that I just love. I love those books, and I don't think I'll ever get rid of them because they just, I think part of it too, and I don't know how anybody would feel outside of this community, but part of it is like being involved with others that are creating this stuff at the same time and watching it come to fruition just has a special place for me too.
Yeah, and we all love that feeling of creating stuff and having people notice, and you know what I mean? It's a good thing. I think if more people were in tune with each other, maybe it might be a little bit easier, but there is an ecosystem to be had there.
Yeah.
And Chris Anderson did nail it on the head when he said, like, hey, if we all just supported each other. Like, honestly, that guy, like it's been quietly like crazy, but like for me, I was, I got, because Chris Anderson's last Kickstarter was going, and I've been told, because I haven't ever run my own, but there's like these periods of like lulls where during the Kickstarter, and sometimes people get tired of seeing the same thing, you know what I mean, over and over again. So, I've done it a couple times for some people, but I drew a piece for Chris Anderson for Spectral, and I just said, hey, everyone, jump on his Kickstarter, right? So a new image, so it's kind of refreshing and whatever. And like, honestly, dude, the guy put it in his fucking book, like, and that's huge to me. Like, you know what I mean? Because
that's awesome.
Yeah, because I love the guy. Like, I think the world of him. Like, he's a really good human being. Mm-hmm. And if I was gonna pick anyone to be like, it would be like him. And then Matt King for Tales to Enlighten.
Yep.
Out to me, he was like, hey, do you want to put a piece in the book? And I was like, yes. You know what I mean? Because I have the book. And so yeah, I have both those like pieces in both those books, and it's pretty flattering. You know what I mean? Like,
very,
for those, those two people and their creations and stuff. Like, so it's been a pretty good ride, like,
yeah. Backing both of those Kickstarters myself.
Yeah, man.
Huge fan of both of them. Had them both on the channel, and they're both wonderful human beings. That's what's so cool about this too, is that everybody is so generous and so just nice, just all around nice people, which is a huge difference to like my initial introductions into the comics community, like in the late 90s, early 2000s. It was like a completely different climate.
Yeah, I think you're seeing that change quite a bit too. It's not so toxic and not so male like orientated, and you know what I mean. Like, I'm a big person for inclusion. I know it sounds really weird. People get really shocked when I say that because they'll look at me. You know what I mean? But it's a huge thing for me. I think it's important, as long as it's done well and properly and tastefully and whatnot. Like, I think it's important, because nothing beats that especially as a kid, like thinking like, hey, I could be Superman or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it's got a good connotation to it. So it's just like, I think it's important that everyone's included, and I think you're seeing so much of that now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's a good thing. Comics is changing for the better, I would say. It's just taking a little bit of time, you know?
Yeah, I think so too. I think we're so used to, well, I don't know that we're used to it. I think just because of we're just in the age of instant gratification, we want change to happen and we think that it's something that can happen overnight. But, you know, it's really a gradual thing. It is. All evolutionary change has different steps that it has to take and different ways that things mutate from one form to another. And so it's just, you know, I've had to talk with my kids about that, of just, you know, it just takes patience to kind of see things through and just stay your course as to like what you believe and like support the right things. And change will happen. It's never going to be overnight, but you always have to think about, you know, you don't want change to just happen just for you. You got to be thinking about the future as well.
That's right. Yeah, that's the thing, right? And like, especially if you have young kids, like, it's just there's so much going on, and like, yeah, you got to take some of the bad good, and sometimes things are going to be tried that aren't going to work. You know what I mean? What comes to mind is the new Mutants. You know what I mean? Like that didn't work out well. Like that was the pandering, I think. But you know, you look at something like Miles Morales or the new Miss Marvel, like that works. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's done, and you know, it's really cool. And you know what? I'm one of the weirdos, but I love the MCU. Mostly because of my son. Like he's just 19 now, but we've been watching that shit for like the last 11 years, right?
Yeah.
It was a way for him to get into comics. So I eat that stuff up, and I'm very easily pleased. Rick laughs at me all the time. Like, I'm not too judgmental of any superhero movie because I'm just so happy to see it on a screen. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, how old are you, Daniel? If you don't mind me asking.
43, and I have a 19-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a oh shit, he's getting ready to turn 16. So I mean, they grew up on that was part of our family bonding experience with those movies. I mean, it was it means a lot to me now. Some of the more, now that they're older, they're not watching them as much, they don't care as much, so I haven't been as connected to like what's been going on phase 4, but everything previous to that, it was like a family milestone. Every time a Marvel movie came out, that was our family movie going experience. That was like the equivalent to when I was a kid and the new Indiana Jones movie came out or something. It was just like, fuck yeah, this is awesome.
Up until COVID, my son and I pretty much saw every most recently the last couple of years, but saw every Marvel movie at a drive-in, which is like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, like that's just a whole nother layer, right? And it's turned him into a comic fan, which is great. Like, he's more of a manga guy, but occasionally, like, he'll buy it's the weirdest thing too. Like, I try not to influence his stuff. I just like, oh, yep, that run's good, this is good, but he gravitates towards like 80s comics.
Nice.
To me, that, like, I love. We all know I love Rob Liefeld.
Mm-hmm.
I have no apologies for it. He's great to me. You know what I mean? But like, the 80s is like pivotal to good comics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
See him kind of gravitate towards that is like, you know, really wild.
Yeah, that's awesome. So,
how about you? Because we're the same age, but as a kid, all I wanted to see was Spider-Man on the big screen.
Yeah, that was everything.
Like, I don't care. So when these movies kind of like don't hit the mark, some of them, I don't care, man. I'm just happy to be there and enjoying the fucking ride. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
just feel really lucky to see it, you know?
Yeah, it is kind of a dream come true for what we wanted, and for, growing up where whenever something did come out that was superhero oriented, it was so poorly done too.
You still loved it.
Yeah, I mean, the first appearance of Thor to me, is in that Hulk crossover on the series that they did.
For Thor, man.
Yeah, that was the shit. When that happened, and then also his appearance in Adventures in Babysitting. But other than that, no, that stuff was awesome. Yeah,
man. I think I just like Rick always laughs. He says you're easy to please, but I'm like, no, I'm just like happy because I get to see this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's it makes me really happy, and like, you know, so it is what it is, man. Different strokes for different folks, right?
Well, you're not sounding cantankerous.
Not yet. I am the king of. I'm not gonna lie. I've always been. I get really flash angry real quick. It's not one of my finer points in life. And then I always regret it afterwards, and you know, try to make up for it and be a better person immediately. You know what I mean?
No, I get it.
So
I got Irish in my blood. I know what you mean.
yeah, it's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you are a tattoo artist as well as a comic artist.
Yep.
Yes,
sure.
what was your kind of origins with that? And did you start out doing did you always want to get into comics, or is it something that was kind of on the back burner? You like got into tattooing first? Like, I'm really interested because my son turned 18. Well, my middle son turned 18 in January. We went and got tats together. Well, I got a touch up on mine, and then he got a tat. He loved it so much. Like 2 weeks later, he woke up one morning and his other arm was like that he didn't get a tattoo on. His other arm was fully tattooed. Well, I was like, did you sneak out last night and get a tattoo? He's like, no, I did it myself. I got a gun. And he just like,
oh Jesus.
I was like, I love you, kid. That's all. And it was awesome. It was amazing. It was this beautiful, fully detailed raven on his forearm. And you know, so he's kind of he's thinking about getting into tattooing while he's in college. So
yeah.
Anyway,
what I would tell him is, like, get some art school into you, and then once you have some art school into you, you can throw it out all the window except for the harsh critiques, because you're going to get a lot of that.
Yeah.
And go from there.
Did you go to art school?
I did later in life. I was supposed to when I was younger, and it didn't work out. And then I went to the Academy of Art for a couple of years, just before COVID. And then it's so expensive, right? During COVID, shut down so much, I couldn't afford to keep going. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I could have, but it would have been like a huge burden. And I didn't get student loans or anything. I was paying out of pocket.
Oh.
So I just stopped, but I got a lot of what I needed. I mean, I think the big thing is like going there, and, you know, there was a lot of like foundation stuff I learned, and you know, just regular stuff that's helped quite a bit with everything that I do. But it was a really neat experience. I do miss it. I really would like to finish my master's in illustration at some point, but, you know, catching up from COVID has been tough too. So, you know, maybe later in life I'll get back to it. Yeah. I think it would be neat to be you know, to have that ability to be like a teacher, you know what I mean? And I've always had like this really pompous attitude of wanting to be a doctor in something, you know, so that people refer to me as Dr. Craig.
Hell yeah.
You know, because I definitely don't look the part. But yeah.
Well, we can just unofficially call you.
We already have a doctor. We got Dr. Ben, so I don't want to rain on his parade.
Okay.
He's the doc.
He is the doc.
But yeah, as for tattooing, I was always an artist. I fell in love with tattooing. I tell people I'm a tattooer first and a comic book creator second. Like, I know where my money comes from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But my wife actually had a friend that worked in a shop, and him and I are still friends to this day. And he got me a job and an apprenticeship, and away we went. And that was almost 20 years ago. So, and I'm still learning every day. I still bug. There's guys in the kayfabe group that I bug all the time because I'm stronger with like black and gray stuff. And there's a couple guys like Anthony Max. I don't know if you know him. Look him up, man. That guy's legit. He's a phenomenal tattooer and a really nice dude. And Keith Caramello. He's in and out. You'll see him post like paintings and stuff that he does that are comic related or horror related. But I'm always reaching out to those guys and asking them questions about color and color theory. And and stuff like that, and how they go about it. Because if you're not trying to get better, you shouldn't really be doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh,
Wanna
I
get-
totally need help with color theory, man. When I did go to college and I went originally for studio art, when it came to any class that had to do with color, including painting and some graphics classes, I don't know what it is. I just can't figure it out. It's such a struggle.
Yeah, it's like I've learned a lot just like coloring stuff that I've done. You know what I mean? Like that way, and of course like tattooing. Like I've learned a lot coloring tattoos, but there's just like ways to go about it, and like what goes with what, especially tattooing, like mixing colors and stuff and whatnot. And if you have the ability to reach out to people, like you should, especially for us, because it's like permanent shit. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we take that stuff pretty, like if you're a legitimate tattoo artist, you take that stuff pretty serious. So yeah, it's kind of like my duty to like know exactly what's going on and whatnot, and try to get better if I can.
How anxious and do you still ever get anxiety about, the permanent markings that you're putting on people?
You know what? Like I think I'd be lying if I'd say that sometimes I'll be looking at a piece and it's not like I don't get a little nervous, you know what I mean? But it's not to the point where it used to be, where I would like, sweat out 30 pounds when I was like tattooed in the middle of the tattoo,
Oh, I can't imagine.
But yeah, there is a curve for that. Like there is a, you do go through it, and you gotta kind of work your way through it, or you're gonna, fall on your face, right?
Yeah. Wow. I have you ever had a scenario where someone was like, "What the hell is it that you're putting on me?" or anything like that? Have you had a?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
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 Oh
For
god.
I remember like I was in this guy came in and he wanted like, I think it was, if I remember correctly, Dale Earnhardt. He was number 8, right? Dale Earnhardt. I'm not a race guy, so I'm pretty sure it was Dale Earnhardt. But I got halfway through the 8 and he just lost his mind. He was just like, I don't know if I can do this. I'm like, well, you got to let me finish the line work. And he just wasn't having any part of it. He just like flipped his wig. You know what I mean?
Wow. Oh, just from the pain? Like he couldn't take the pain?
It just hit him all at once. Like, I'm getting a tattoo and I don't think I want to get a tattoo and I need to get out of here. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh.
And at the time I worked for a bunch of bikers and it was like, you're paying up. Like, I can't have you leave without, like you're paying me.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, he went to kind of give like an argument and it was like, no. But yeah, that's about the only time no matter what you do, there's always one, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
There's always somebody, but for the most part, like, I hit the mark every time, you know what I mean? And I don't mean to sound arrogant or cocky or anything, but that's my job, is to do that,
Oh yeah. No, I don't think it's about arrogance at all. I mean, one benefit I got from going to school, well, I lucked out, because at first I was not having much luck. I'm going to someday document my art school experience, but I had the usual kind of like cliquish, like very pretentious, teachers, but then I landed on this one guy who was this old hippie, this old crazy fogey who he was the kind of guy that just shuffled in the class and was just fuck everything you've learned kind of thing. And he he taught me some like basic concepts that I was able to like really feel at my core. And like it was almost like learning all over again. And coming out of that, I totally am confident in my ability that I can draw anything. Like if I need to, I can do it. Now I might have some anxiety about going into a drawing, and I may mess up and have to go, but I know I have the capability of doing it.
Yeah.
And I also feel from the experience learning from him that most any human being has that same capability too, if they applied it. Like it's in our DNA. you can do it. Like we have the ability, like we are already doing it with our brains anyway. We are taking light and we are making it into images. It's just a way of like moving that process in through your hand and parsing out what you're seeing. And I'm thinking more in terms of like life drawing. So if like when you're going off a reference, parsing out from what you're seeing instead of there being like, okay, I'm drawing a person that is this shape or a landscape, that you break everything out into abstract shapes. Whereas where negative space and positive space, like you're not drawing a tree, you're just drawing this like, visual representation that's in front of you. I don't know how to say it, but I feel like I could train anybody to draw, really, if I've given the time.
I can speak on that because it's like every tattoo artist that works for me, I have a couple shops. I'm soon adding another. So I've got 2 and I'm going to add another. And
Congratulations.
Thank you. And all the people that work for me, I don't like to say it like that. All the people that work with me, like I own the joint, whatever. But I've taught them basically how to draw. And then from there, and you can teach anyone how to draw as long as they're willing to work hard. I've always said that. And I've proven it. Like you can look on my shop's pages and you can see, like most of these kids walked in and they had no concept of like, and it all starts with shapes. And I say the same thing every fucking time. Like it just breaks down to shapes. It's all it's about. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And if you're willing to put the work in, you can learn anything.
Agreed.
That are like, this generation, none of that shit. But it's like, I've got kids that are younger that are learning right now. They just did a bunch of them just did their first tattoos today, and kind of blew me away. Like, lots of hard work, and it all paid off. And I had a good day today. It was neat.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I get more joy seeing. Like, I think I messaged you that because I was a little bit hesitant at first because I'm more of a rah-rah. Like I'm more of a cheerleader. You know what I mean? And I'm not one to really like sit around and talk about myself too much. But and I think I mentioned that to you before. I was kind of like, but I've seen the way that how you run the show and stuff, and I was like, yeah, I can handle that. That's cool shit. You know what I mean? But I think the big thing is like keeps you humble if you're cheering other people on, and it makes you better too. So if you can be supportive of people and you're willing to admit that, hey, they did a good job, like it helps you in your growth too,
Of course. Yeah, 100% agree. What gave you your kind of push though to go ahead and start diving into comics? Was it the kayfabe community, or did you have any touch points before that?
Book guy, you know what I mean? I did take some time off when my son was born. It was like you're just too busy, you know what I mean? And your money's going other places, and time and stuff between tattooing and raising a child. It was already hard enough,
Yeah.
So it was like that kind of went by the wayside. But as soon as he got like old enough, it started to creep back in. The only thing I ever really kept up on, and then lots of people laugh about this, is like I'm a huge Archie comic fan. Huge Archie comic. I probably have now I'm probably close to like 7,000 Archie digests.
Wow.
And I don't even know how many of those are doubles, bro. Like I've got so many.
That's awesome.
Bring them to me by the truckload. Eventually I've got to sit down and sort through them. I've given a bunch away, but I have so many. It's unbelievable. Yeah, I think I've probably got about, I'm just trying to think. Yeah, like man, it's insane. And they're everywhere. They're all over my house. Like I'm never out of arm's reach of an Archie digest. And that's how my son started reading comics too. And so yeah, that's always been around. But then let me see now. I was brought to the kayfabe community by through comic tropes, and a gentleman that was on there named J. Andrew World, who's also a kayfaber.
Okay, yeah.
He's a political cartoonist.
Yep.
But through comic tropes and him, brought me to kayfabe. And then, yeah, just, I think I got in the first Wizard. I bought a bunch of stickers and sent them to Eli. They were those stickers. The Jack Kirby, the Major League Kirby thing.
Yep.
And he sent them out with Wizard magazines. And COVID hit. And I was just on the computer at the right time. Because what else? It was like the first couple of days, like in March when the world kind of shut down. And I met Rick Lopez, and then I met Rocco and David Grom, and then Eli. By that time, it was like a superhero to me. You know what I mean? He created this book, and my goal was always to I wanted my son to be able to hold on to a comic that I had made or been a part of at the very least, and to see my name in print, which is I'll get back to because there's a funny little story to that. And that's when it all formed. There was this original brain trust of Image Grand Design. Jerome had kicked it off, and then it just grew to this huge thing. But there was an original brain trust, and that's who it was. It was Rick, Eli, myself, Rocco, Greg, I forget his name. A couple of others, David Grom, Jerome, who I knew previously from going to, because he lives close to me, him and Jason Lapidus. That's when it all kind of just lit up. And so we started doing it, and I paired up with Rocco right away because Rocco was a writer. We were all artists and stuff, but there's something about Rocco that I gravitated towards. You know what I mean? He's the same age as we are, but he's got this thing about him. I don't know what it is. Just got this magnetism kind of thing going on. And I was I
feel like he's boiling over with creative energy, all the time. He's just priming.
But he doesn't he's not one of those guys that shoves it in your face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just he's really smooth, and he's a smooth operator that way, and I love him for it. But we just hit it off, and no one really knew at that point about Phantom Force. I'm a huge Kirby head, so it was hey, we were all talking about comics being made, and I just made this declaration right off the top, hey, I'm doing the prologue, and the prologue's Phantom Force, because it was right up there with one of the first comics released, and they were people were what's Phantom Force? I'm Jack Kirby's comic book that he released through Image, that all the Image guys inked,
right?
And it's money that Kirby ever made off any comic book, so they kind of gave him a, you know what I mean? And so they were yeah, for sure. And I was Rocco, I'm not the best writer. At least I don't have the patience for it, per se. You write it, and I'll draw it. And him and I have been thick as thieves since. So yeah, that's how it all kind of started together. And it's funny, I told you about, I said I was going to loop back to this, but yeah. I told you wanting my name printed so my son could see it. Eli forgot my name, and it could... the final release of the Image Grand Design, which was so funny to me. You know what I mean? It was the one thing. So every once in a while, Eli will be chatting. Yeah, it's not like you forgot my name or anything. You know what I mean? And
I didn't even realize that. That's hilarious. But you're you're the title page.
Yeah,
you're the front of the page, man.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and then I don't know if you were a part of that. Did you get, because I gotten an artist copy for everyone? If you were in Image Grand Design, right?
I was not in Image Grand Design. I was going to be, and I was so knee deep in what I was working on. I wanted to finish the project, and I didn't want. It was the first time I was really completing my own comic. And I had to make, it was one of those tough decisions I had to make. It was the same thing with Ghost Agents. Rocco asked me to be a part of Ghost Agents, and it was actually that story that, oh God, it was in number 2, and it's where, I can't remember her name, but she's sitting around with her record collection, and she's tripping acid. Yeah. And Yeah, Ben Perkins ended up doing that, which did a phenomenal job and would have done a million times better than I ever could have. Like, that was an incredible, but that was the story he originally wrote that I was going to do, but it was another one of those tough calls. I've been in and out with the community, and I've always been kind of on the periphery. I was in Darkest Image.
Nice.
I was in that. And I was a part of Weapon Ek and the 63 project and Batman Year Wah as well. And then, of course, I've had stuff in Wizard #1 and Wizard #2. But yeah, Image Grand Design and the Ghost Agents ones were like two of those pieces. I was like, man, I wish I would have. Yeah. I kind of wish I would have jumped on that bandwagon when I had the chance.
Like, when you pass like things up and they come through, you're like, I know there's a little piece of me that's like, I don't even want to look at that right now. But there's not all this time for all these projects either, right? Like, if you're busy,
yeah,
it is what it is. But so from there, Rocco and I, and like, honestly, man, like when I say I'm cantankerous, like I'm a moody. I'm real good right now, but you catch me in a bad day, and people will attest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rocco on it, but Rocco and I have this thing, and he knows. Like, I've told people, I'm hard to work with, and I'll never draw anyone else's comic ever again, ever. Like, I'm not.
Wow.
If he said like he's gonna keep sending me stuff, I'll do that. But like, I have no patience for. And I think that's because I tattoo, and I'm just so used to being like, nope, this is the way, and like,
right.
It's only business where the customer's always wrong. You know what I mean?
Right.
So ability to be like, no, I'm not putting 35 names into this banner because it's going to look like crap. And it's not going to heal well. And over time, it's going to look like shit.
Right.
Really hard to do that when you're working with someone else. You know what I mean? And there's been times where like Brock would tell you that he irritates me, but he knows enough he says what he has to say, and then he just leaves it alone. And like, I'll read it and I won't respond to him, and he's not up my ass about it. Like, he knows that I need a moment here, so just give me a moment. We work well together because we read each other so well. And the big thing about it is like, we're friends first and foremost. Like, he was getting panicky because I was like, I had been releasing all the stuff on NPP, Next Panel Press, that Rick and I and Grom and Eli had started.
Right.
And but he was getting panicky because he likes to have the book completely done before he puts it on Kickstarter. And I was still coloring, and he was getting panicky and stuff. But he knows, like I said, I'm gonna have it done, homie. I'm gonna have it done. Like, I'm not that guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so yeah, it's just, we have this really great working kind of thing going on, and he knows how to handle me, which is, I can be tough to deal with at times, and I know that. And he can approach me with kid gloves. And I went through some tough times over the past year, like, not gonna lie. Some sicknesses and stuff, not from me, but like my wife, my son and stuff. And there was a few people that were, like, steadfast, and they were all kayfabe guys, like, Rick, Rocco, Eli, Ray Caracas, or I think I call him Caracas, Caracasis, sorry. And I know he's a hot button topic, but I don't give a shit. Those guys always, and to this day, like, they're, Ray still checks in on me daily, make sure, like, outside of comics, like, hey, how's things? Rocco too, like, hey, everything good? Rick, I talk to probably 1 million times a day. Him and I are super tight. But yeah, so it's like, I've gained way more than just making comics, you know what I mean, through the community. And that's why Ed and Jim can do no wrong to me, and that drives people up the wall. You know what I mean? I'll buy anything they put out because it's like, I've got we have like a digital bullpen, all because of those two. It all stems from, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Mr. Comic Tropes, I absolutely adore Chris Pierce. I think he does a lot for comics. He's done a lot for me. He's, and like, I was in school watching his stuff, doing projects and whatnot. Like, I don't know if you've watched his program at all.
Yeah, I watch Comics Tropes regularly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like back in the day, I don't know if he's doing it too much, but he would do Inktober.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have like midterms around then, and I'd be working on these monstrous pieces and whatnot. But I would like I would sit there and I get like, you get a little bit energized watching someone draw, you know what I mean? Like I'm drawing some drapery hanging on my wall and he's drawing, like he drew Snake Plissken once and he sent it to me and I have it. It's like one of my favorite things. Awesome. But it's like able to, you know, it's energizing. You know what it's like?
Yeah.
And that's the great thing about the Next Panel Press stuff is like we have a chat group. We all meet our deadline for the most part. And we can bounce ideas off each other and talk. You know what I mean? It's great. Brian Payne's another one too. You ever get a chance to talk to that guy, man? That guy's got some stories.
We've connected a couple times and it's like, I feel like we need to connect. We need to talk. Like, I feel like we're going to jive pretty well.
Getting him on Zoom will be tough, but if you can get him to do it, he's got stories for days, man. Like in the middle of like, my wife we all got COVID in January, and my wife had like long haul COVID stuff that was affecting her heart and whatnot. And it was pretty scary and whatnot. And out of the blue one day, I get this package and it's all his comics. You know what I mean? And it's just, it's like those small little things. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if you have, like, it's like I was telling you earlier, like if you can pay it forward and be good to people, you should. Yeah. You don't know how it's going to affect someone. Like Ryan Balcom, him and I are like, I love Ryan. I think he's a great dude. I love his shit.
Wonderful. Yeah, I love Ryan.
He's such a good human being. He was going through a tough time a couple weeks ago, so I was like, yo, I sent him $45. I think it was on a Tuesday, and I was like, that's where your pull list tomorrow, homie. Like, because I know you've been going through it, you know? I just think if you take those extra little moments and try to be good to people, it's better for everyone. You know what I'm saying? Especially creators, because we all get, man, we go through it. I don't care what anyone says. We're a different breed. If you're drawing every day, all day, like, you probably have low self-esteem. You know what I mean? Like, you're constantly worried about what you're doing, if it's good enough, if it looks good, you know? So it's like, if you can make someone feel good, like, you take the time to do it. It doesn't take much, you know?
Yeah, true. I feel like I owe Ryan everything. I've tried to tell this guy 100 times, like, you don't ever need to buy a comic from me, because he was the first person to ever give a review on my work. I mean, it was amazing. And he did it, like, he was the first person to invite me on an interview. I feel like I started getting any kind of audience because of him.
Yeah.
And he's just so generous. And he's so, you know, he talks about some of these other people like Layfield, who I love, and others that just bring this excitement to comics. But I feel like that's you, Ryan. You bring this excitement to everybody's work, and you just you bring that love out, and it gets everybody else excited.
I don't think he sees that all the time either. You know what I mean? And you're absolutely right. He's got that level of, you know, because it's the same thing for me. It's like the first interview I really did was with him, you know, and so it's there's like a bond there, you know. It's important. Yeah,
I agree. So you do have a Kickstarter up now with Rocco, Ghost Agents, Man of Action, and this is a comic that you fully drew this whole book. It's not just like a story supplement or whatever. Is this your first fully drawn comic?
Yeah, this will be my first released fully drawn comic. I have the Murder She Wrote, I should say.
Right.
That'll be coming out, but that's going to be released with Cosmic Lion and Brian Payne's Zinc Studios or Darshan Studios, depending on what he's doing. But yeah, this is my first foray into fully, you know what I mean? This will be the first released, which is a little weird, you know?
That's amazing. The artwork looks astounding. I mean, it totally captures that sort of like 60s spy vibe. I mean, like to the T that I know Rocco goes for. So what was it like for you, the experience of, you already talked about working with Rocco a little bit, but just like completing this full book on your own and the process of it? What materials have you used? Did you have any special new techniques you were going after? Or?
So I'll tell you this. So I think I need to quit smoking. So he this has been in like the hopper for a while. And I was the first one to ever know about Ghost Agent because him and I, we're tight, and he had written this story, and I'm really into like strips, even like the Archie stuff. Like I love those Bob Montana like strips. I have the whole collections. Like it's I think it's a really neat way to tell a story, and I really kind of fell into like another guy who I absolutely like. I cannot say enough about, and he is one of the people I definitely look up to, with Ben Granoff. He's helped me out quite too. He kind of said to me one time, and I've reiterated this a bunch of times, and he probably got it from somewhere else, but he's like, if you take all the words off the page, can you still read the story? And that just like hit home with me. So I try to draw everything like, if I took the words off, are you going to be able to read the comic? And that really rings true with comic strips.
Yep.
The difference about this one, and this is different. So we kicked it off last August. There wasn't a hard release date. Like there wasn't, you know what I mean? Rock was like, just do it and, get some pages done. And then we had discussed how we're going to put it out. And he said to me, like about 2 months in, I hadn't colored anything. I had just done a bunch of roughs because it wasn't a hard-nosed schedule. I think we had said like we're going to wait till like April to start releasing it on Next Panel Press. And so I wasn't in a huge rush. I hadn't started too much. But he had said to me, it was like a fever dream. He woke up and he was like, he messages me. I remember it being pretty late. He's like, hey, I want this all colored to look like a wax pack. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, I want it to look like you bought it like a wax pack of cards. And he was like, do you understand? And I'm like, no, I get it. But like that totally twists everything, because then it's like you kind of got to look at the art differently. You can't do. There's not a lot you can do. Like, you know what I mean? It's got to be very. And then I also know his love of pop art, so I was like, that could work. Like if you make the imagery kind of standalone, where it's not overly busy and it's not full of backgrounds, I could pull the Liefeld and not worry too much about backgrounds. Just do quick, easy, simple characters to read that read well, and we color it properly. It could work. And I really leaned into the pop art stuff because he's a 60s guy through and through.
Yeah.
I really leaned into it, and I remember I sent him the first colored page, and he was like, "No, I push it further." And that's the thing, like he pushes me, so he'll push me, and like I said earlier, I won't respond. You know what I mean? I won't respond verbally. I'll just respond with another image. You know what I mean? And at first, I'm like, "Fuck this guy." You know what I mean? Like I'm busting my ass over here, and then I realize, take a breath, calm down. You know what I mean? And then we just keep hitting the mark. So yeah, it's got a really kind of unique look, and I'm hoping people dig it. Everyone that's seen it, and you're like me, like I'm sure you're probably like, people are like, oh yeah, it's beautiful, and inside you're like, you're just fucking saying that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're hoping that it rings true and whatnot. The Kickstarter is doing really well. It's over 60. I think it might be at 65%. So people are digging it. And I'm thankful. Super shocked that. And again, it's like that. You just kind of like you always feel like you're a piece of shit, right? So it's like I noticed that the tiers where like you could get a piece of art done by me, they all went really quickly. And I had said to Rick, I'm like, are these people like nuts? Like, who the fuck wants a drawing from me? And Rick is always telling me like, hey, like, get your head out your ass. Like, yeah, people want shit from you. You know what I mean? Rick's like my cheerleader, and like whenever I'm like losing my mind, or he's always the guy. Like he's my go-to. You know what I mean?
I can only imagine. My sit down that I had with Rick was just.
I watched it.
God, yeah. I love that guy. I love him so much.
I can't. Like I think about him, and I don't care what anyone says. I tear up a little because like we've been through it. We went through COVID together every single day for almost a year and a half. You know what I mean? Like. It didn't matter even when I went back to work, because we were shut down off and on for 2 years. Over 2 years, we were closed for a year of that. But like every day, so all my fears, and his too, like back and forth, like there was a group of us, but Rick and I, like him and I always stayed super tight. Like he's I can't say enough about that guy. But yeah, we've been through it, and it's been great, and I'm lucky to have it, and just to have that person to be like to question like before. He's taught me like don't necessarily hit send when you type something out in anger, like especially in the Facebook group. You know what I mean? He's like, like take that minute to kind of reflect before you like, and I've learned a lot from him, and he knows my wife really well. So eventually, once all this stuff kind of the funk clears here, we'll get to meet up in person. But it's like, like it's like having those types of people around me, like creators. I can't stress that enough. How good it is to have that, And I've been blessed, and I'm lucky, and I love it. So
yeah. Well, it's not bullshitting, man. The artwork that I've seen so far on Man of Action, and what you say about what Rocco was wanting for the coloring, like it's like totally clicking for me right now. This is like you did it. You accomplished.
I wanted it to be like he told me the way, and then in my head I was like, I want every panel. If you just printed off that panel, I wanted you to be able to hang it on your wall like a piece of pop art. That's how I kind of looked at it.
Yep.
I think we did it. I think so.
I think so. If based upon the images that you guys have on the Kickstarter page so far, 100%.
And they get a lot more crazy than that too. And that was the other thing too. It's like Rocco was like, hey, if this was anyone else, like I would be like, he kept saying it, like if this was anyone else, I would be up your ass. Like I'm, and because he's worried, you know what I mean? And I'm like, bro, I got it. You know what I mean? But I was like, hey, like I've had to color this thing like 2 times because I colored it in just like simple gray tone, like really quick for NPB. And then I had to change some stuff because I was like, we can't offer to kickstart this book and just like regurgitate everything that we've colored, right? Like you want it different, but right. I can't give it away either. So they've got to have something that they're buying that's different and unique. And he was like, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So I was like, you got to chill. Give me a hot minute. I took 5 days off work, I guess 2 weeks ago. And I just sat and hammered it out. And I was stressed out, not going to lie. You know what I mean? Because I'm super busy, as just like, and I had to explain to everyone like, hey, like I've got, like I showed them my calendar and my phone over the last 6 months, but it's like this all the time. Like every day on my iPhone, there's a little dot every single day. And those aren't like holidays included. This is just my schedule. Yeah. So I'm tattooing nonstop, but all those dots are tattoos. That means I have to draw for each of those dots, man. Like, yeah. You got to understand, like, I'm putting the work in here, so give me some breathing room. And he gets it. He's really good that way, and he knows. So it's just about working hard and, trusting the people that you work with, not burning people. I think that's a huge thing, and doing what you say you're going to do, And then, you'll always have a decent relationship with people.
It sounds like you guys complement each other well in the way that, like, you push each other, like, for the better.
Yeah.
Which is great.
He's been huge in my like kind of for like personal growth too, because he's like, man, sometimes things just aren't worth it. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it ain't worth it. It's not worth the frustration. I remember like, I was going through a rough spot and he messaged me and he's like, hey man, he just gave me some ideas to how to think about things and how to like rearrange it in my head a little bit. So I'm not just like, pissy all the time or whatever. And it's helped out quite a bit, So yeah, I'm blessed, man. I just like feel like I've fallen in with the right people, and anyone that has been along for the journey since Image Grand Design and COVID, if they weren't meant to be there, they're kind of fallen to the wayside. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. But yeah, like it's nice having those people to hang and talk with and chat with, and be able to run ideas off of our artwork past.
Right. Well,
as that,
I hope you feel like an amazing sense of accomplishment with this first published book, because to have something like this, like in conjunction with Rocco, with this project, because this project, Ghost Agents, is amazing with Cosmic Line and Eli and everything, and You should feel very accomplished. It's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I do. I think I will once it's in everyone's hands. You know what I mean? And people have it. And, you know, I assume they're going to like it. Eli's another guy too. Like, he has told me flat out, no matter whatever I do, he'll always put it out. Him and I were pretty tight. And yeah, it's again, he's just one of those guys, right?
Yep.
And he's been great for me too, like mentally, like just like, because he's very calm, cool, and collected. I don't know how well you know him.
Oh yeah, very well.
He's very tactful, and he's very smart, and you know, he deals with things in a really responsible, mature way. Mm-hmm. And sometimes he's just like, yo, it's like, hey, you know, I'll be bitching or moaning, and he'll be like, you know, I mean, without giving out too much, I've seen some stuff by people that I'm always like quick to be like, yo, like what is going on here? Like, why is this a thing, you know? And he'll just be like, bro, like, honestly, they have the books to back it up. That's why people are on it. They like it. So stop chirping and worrying about what other people are doing and just shut up and draw.
Yeah.
That's kind of like been my thing, right? I always say that. Just shut up and draw. I don't care anymore. Just put my head down. Just going to draw, you know, and worry about my own backyard, just like I do with tattoos.
Well, you just as we were talking before I push record, you don't like have a huge social media presence. You don't have a website. You're not like constantly, you promote other people, but you don't promote your stuff. And it's that concept of what you're just talking about, of just that ethic of just, if you just are producing well, and not just necessarily just pushing out like quantity, it's more about the quality of what you're producing. Yeah,
and it's so true, man. It's like, I think I had said Chuck D had just reposted, someone had posted this thing about like quantity of, you know, people are worried about the algorithm and getting lost in it. But it's like, they're not worried about the quality, so they're just constantly putting new shit out every single day. And like, that just sounds exhausting to me. Like, I'm not into that, man. You know, like, I could post a new tattoo every single day, two new tattoos every day. But I'm not into the Instagram likes or the follows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm okay that way. Like, I'm okay. Like, I just kind of like doing it old school. You know, like, just put it out, and the right people will find it and go from there. You know, it's like the easiest way. How are you? Do you put, like, you post quite a bit of stuff too, though, right? Like, not like it's never overkill. It's always,
yeah. Like, I always get flack for not posting enough from some of my friends, but I always feel like I'm posting too much for me anyway. It's a lot for me because I don't like to be on social media a lot. I would rather just be spending the time making stuff. I figured, you know, doing these videos is kind of helpful in terms of, I guess, if it's a way of promotion. It really, for me, this was just, like I told you earlier, I was kind of like on the periphery of the community a lot. And I love everybody I've interacted with. And I just want to meet everyone and talk with everyone.
Yeah.
And just have a good. And so this has kind of turned out to be something that helps promote stuff. But in terms of like my own books and pushing them out, I'll usually make like an initial announcement. And that's about it. I don't do a whole lot of follow up. And because I'm not, also one thing that, you know, I'm very jealous of you on and others is, and like people like Rick, is I don't have a good eye for design. So I'm not good on being able to create some sort of advertisement or image that I feel like captures the person's eye and brings people in. I'm a fine illustrator. I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not like bashing myself as an illustrator. There is something about graphic design and, like you say, pop art, that in the way that it's structured, that it's made to be marketable. Like this shirt you say any jackass or whatever could have done this, but I don't think so. It really takes like a person with a really good eye as to what looks good and how things are presented. to be able to conceptualize and pull these like different elements together. And I can see that. I'm looking on my other screen here. I'm looking at your work. I can see that with, Man of Action, with Ghost Agents Man of Action. You really know how to pull an image together in the sense that all the elements come together just right to make it pop. So I've never been big at that, and I've never, like, I think you would actually probably be a pretty good advertiser, but I understand like your ethic in the way that you work, and I respect it, and that's cool.
Yeah, I you know how I do it, man, and you are capable, bro. Like, I've seen your work; it's like stellar. Like, what I always think is like the KISS method, man. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Like, don't overthink it. Like, I'm terrible for that. Like, I look at something, I'm like, nope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
9 to 10, it's going to be better than what other people are doing, and it is good. That's how I just approach it. Like, just keep it simple, and I'm lucky. My wife, like, she's very creative, and she's always right beside me, and she's my harshest critic. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's good. It keeps me humble. Like, I was like, hey, what do you think? She's like, yep, that's okay.
That's great. No, that's good.
Yeah. Like, hey, like, everyone needs that. Like, it's important. But yeah, I think it's just about keeping it simple and not overthinking it.
Yeah, and I also think probably too, it's just it's like you're saying, of just shut up and draw as well, of just keep going at it. And because I know if I'm sitting too long on a page or on an image, that it's like, what are you doing? Just sometimes you gotta have to take the dive into it and not overly construct it over and over and over again, or deconstruct it.
It took me a while past that too. It's like I would draw it, and then I'm a totally digital guy now because I don't have time to do anything else. You know what I mean? Like, because you would ask me about, and I'm finally getting to the answer, but about tools and stuff. Like, I don't have time as much as I would like to. Like for an example, I don't know if you use an iPad or not. So I use an iPad. That's how I do all my digital drawings. I used to have a huge Cintiq and whatnot, but it gives you a weekly update, and I'm not exaggerating, man. Last week I had 10 hours a day on my iPad.
Wow.
So think about that. And that's not like, I don't social media too much on my iPad. That's all through my phone. So my phone's usually sitting right beside me.
Right.
How much, like, I would probably say about 9.5 hours of that is drawing. So it's like, you start thinking about that.
Yeah.
Like, on average, that's a day. So I mean, it's just about the hustle and drawing and whatnot. And I find that when you're in that kind of right brain kind of mode, you know what I mean? Like, nothing else matters. You know what I mean? People's opinion, whatever, and I've always been a big proponent of like if people are talking shit, then you're doing something right. You know what I mean? So if they're talk shit about your artwork, guess what? And Eli pointed that out to me too. It's like, you know what? You might not like someone's book or what they're doing, but they have a book. You don't. So just shut up and make one. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's so true,
Yeah, Eli is wise. I've thought about, going the digital route. I do for my coloring, but you're gonna laugh at me, but when I'm coloring, I'm literally on my computer with a mouse coloring. Wow. Which is very time consuming. I tried one of my kids had a tablet. It wasn't an iPad. It was just like a Samsung tablet that I tried to color on, and it was so hard for me. But I have heard so many people like you say that it just saves so much time. So I'm thinking about biting the bullet and getting an iPad. Don't think, man. Just do it. It'll like trying to connect with you was hard because you seem so busy. Like, you're gonna save so much time. Like, you don't have to do your full comic in there, but like, you could do all your roughs. So imagine I'm drawing figures, right? So if I need to move a hand because it's wonky, I don't need to erase anything, or I don't need to like trace it again, like, put it on a light board. I just like clip it
and shift it. You know what I mean? Like that in itself is like such a time saver. You know what I
can't
mean?
even imagine.
Yeah, it's insane. So it's like that's why like most tattoo artists you see today, and that's where it stems from for me. It's not about like I didn't learn that in school. It all stemmed from tattooing. Like it's all done. I do everything from my iPad because it's like it just saves so much time.
Oh, you know? Yeah. That's when I went to go get the tat with that like the first tats I got were years and years ago, before my kids. So there was no iPads around. But then when I went to go get it with my son, she did it all on the iPad, and she met everybody beforehand and got everybody's ideas. Okay, that will work. No, that's not going to work. And then it was pretty amazing actually to kind of watch her work. Plus you could just say, if you had an idea of what you wanted, you could send her an image. She could clip it in and like work from that. It almost made me think, my God, how did anybody do it before?
Oh man. Like, lots of work, right? Like,
I feel like you're actually able to get in like at least 2 or 3 more clients a day, possibly.
Yeah, like I really try to do like 1 to 2 clients, like that's it a day. For those days of doing like 3-4 tattoos. Like I'm too old for that shit, homie. You know what I mean? I say that to the young guys now. But yeah, it's like like think like a lot of tattoo designs are symmetrical, right? So I only got to draw half a design. And like, if I sat down with someone and drew something symmetrical, like someone that doesn't know, and I put like the symmetry tool on, like I can draw half of stuff like no one else's business. Like people get really kind of like, they're like, wait, what? Like, what did you just draw? Because I'm so used to like back in the day, like you would fold a piece of tracing paper, you draw on half, and then you'd fold it, and then you would just trace out the other half, right?
Okay.
And it's like, I'm so used to drawing that way that it's even, you know what I mean? Now it's like, it's second nature and it's easy. But yeah, man, it's like, it's really crazy. Like it's there, the technology's there, use it. Like there's so many people that we all love like comic book wise, that they're all their roughs are done. They do like Ed, he'll do all his stuff, and Jim, I know they do all their stuff rough on an iPad using Procreate. They'll print it out and they'll light table it, and then they're coloring it digitally then afterwards, but They still the original on board, right? I just totally forego the board part. Like I don't have time to, I wish I had that time, but I don't. So, and I think my attitude too towards making comics is different than everyone's too. It's because like everyone's looking at it like to try and make money. And like, I don't know. I hate to tell people, like people get upset when I say this. There's no money in comics.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I said to Rocco, like without sound, like I don't want to come across as arrogant, but like you couldn't afford to pay me what I make hourly.
Right.
Job, like, you know what I mean? And like, so like when I'm doing this stuff, it's like, it's just out of like love, you know what I mean? And want to do it. But it also like, it helps me be a little bit, I might be different if I was trying to like make it, you know what I mean? Like it might be a different vibe for me. Like I might be posting on Instagram a whole lot more or chasing it a little bit harder, you know what I mean? But I think because I have such a different mindset, and it's not like, I'm not looking at it to be my full-time job, it allows me a little bit more of a leash,
Yeah. No, I think probably 3 months ago, I would have respectfully disagreed with you, but I've come to a place where, because I went through a big period this year of like really trying to get a big monetary return on my books, and started attending at conventions and stuff. And as I've been talking to other creators more this year, more than I ever have before, I've come to that like agonizing reappraisal of, what, my day job and the benefits I have to take care of my family, it like that. Like there's nothing. I'm never going to make the amount of money that will even like remotely get to half of what I need to take care of my family. And so I have to just do comics without expecting the return, because I've been doing finances on my comics work this year, and I am so far like in the hole with the amount of money that I put into it versus what I'm getting back. And then most of what the money I'm making anyway is going back into other creators like your guys' project and, you know, other, which is great. It's fine. But that's where I'm at. It's like, I'm doing this for the love of doing it. This is like my passion, and I get out of it the joy out of doing it and joy of having these interactions. And, you know, my end goal is to I have a bucket list before I die of stories I want to tell. I actually have a running list. And if I get those done, then I'm good. Whether I make money on it or whatever, I just want to have physical books in hand, like a library that my kids and grandkids can look on.
Yeah, that you can pass down, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with like recently Ben Granoff took a full-time teaching position. I hope he's not going to get mad. He loves me. And he was a little bit bummed out, you know what I mean? Because he had been doing it. He'd been scraping by making comics.
Yeah.
And he bummed out. And I understood that. But I said to him, I'm like, honestly, man, I bet you $100 that your comics will get better because you're going to be so focused on that minute amount of time that you're able to create. You're going to be hyper focused in that time and not just toiling, you know what I mean, the rest of the time. So you're going to be I bet you're better for it. And I believe that if anyone could do that, it would be him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, and the same goes for you. Like, I'm sure like there's that reality that like we all want to be that guy. But honestly, it's like winning the lottery.
Yeah.
And I explain that to people. There's not how many eds out there are, how many gyms are, you know, how much work did they put in just being in the right place at the right time, knowing this person, putting the hustle in, knowing the angles, playing the game, even having kayfabe. Like that all accounts for something. And you know, like I'm old. I know Kirby didn't get, you know, what was it, 44 before Fantastic Four came out. But I'm not trying to be that guy, man, because I'll never make what I make out, you know, like, you know, it doesn't compare. So I just try to keep it real, and when I do have time to create, I create. And you know, that's it. And try to make it worth every moment count. That's all you can do, you know.
That's where I'm at.
That's it, man. I think we'll be better off for it too, to be honest, right?
Yeah, that's right. Sir, is there anything else that we can look forward to from Craig CK coming out in the future? I'm going to be promoting Ghost Agents Man of Action because I love you. I love Rocco. I can't wait to have this issue in hand. So I'm going to put that in the description.
It's actually in 2 parts. So we will be getting back to, we'll put out another Kickstarter later on down the road for the second part. And he's going to keep writing it, whether or not it's a book or if it's just in Next Panel Press. So I'd love everyone to look at Next Panel Press, NPP. It's on Facebook. It's on Instagram. There's like great creators on there.
There is.
Anthony Max is on there. He's doing that guy, man. I'll lay in on this. A panel a day, fully rendered. And he's like, we're slower than he is, obviously, because it's like every other week for us. But he's doing a panel a day, and he's been on board with that since the beginning of the year. So whatever day we're at is like how many days of this year, that's how many panels he's put out. And that's insane. Like
that is insane.
I mean, so yeah, the NPP stuff, that, of course, this, I got Murder She Wrought, which is really exciting. It's a little bit derivative of Red Room, but a little bit more fun, and like not more fun, but different kind of fun, and a little bit humorous.
Where will we be able to find that, by the way?
As soon as I'm done with this, we are going to. I had it in mini comic format, but I'm trying to make some people some money. So I didn't want to like try to sell like a bunch of mini comics. So I'm trying to like put it all in one comic, so that people will have they'll want to pay for it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like it's hard to get people to pay, $5-6 for like, 6 pages. You know what I mean? I feel guilty, So I'm going to put it all. I have 4 minis done. I'm just going to format them all into one comic. And yeah, like I said, Eli will be pushing it, and Brian Payne will be pushing it. And I've still got a Rob Liefeld project in my back pocket. The guy that I work with on it, David Browers, he's been a little bit busy. His plate's been a little bit full. But I think come this winter, we should I'm done pretty much on my side of it. I just have to get him strapped down and see where he's at. But
Nice.
He's got a lot going on right now too. So, but yeah. So there's that, and that's it.
Cool. Well, I'll put all those out on the description, and hope everybody goes out. Like, yeah, next panel press. I should try to get every next panel press person on my channel, because
yeah, man,
that's like my Sunday comics for me now. It's
like I've asked Chris Anderson to do it, but it's like, and he was like, I'll totally do it, but I know how busy he is, you know what I mean? So it's like,
it's very busy,
and you know what I mean. But like, we got like Tony Farrow, that guy's like, I love that guy too.
I love him so much.
Yeah, like, you know,
Randy Tucker bombed continuation in next panel press. What more could you ask for?
Man, hit up Rick, man. If you got time, fucking join us, man.
Okay. I might.
Yeah, like, it's a trip. Rick and I run it, like, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't think he'd give a shit if you wanted to jump on, man. Like, you let me know. Like, by all means, you just got to meet a 2-week deadline, whether it's 1 panel, 3 panel, 4 panel, a whole page, whatever you want to do.
It sounds like a great way to, like, kind of, I like things like that are deadlines like that, to be able to force you to keep working on something. That's
why this whole thing started, man.
Yeah.
Like, it was to teach us, like, to meet those deadlines. And it's really soft. It's like, you know, you put your comic out every 2 weeks. So you have 2 weeks.
Yep.
But it teaches you to hit that mark. You know what I mean? Anton Blake's on there. That strip is legit, man. That guy is silently, like, he's so good. He just did a piece for Adam Lemna's Relic Hunter, like this pinup that no one's seen, and I'm probably going to get yelled at for talking about it, but my God, man. I was like, what the hell? Like, out of nowhere, this guy. But yeah, man, like, you're welcome. I'm sure I don't have an issue with it. I'm sure Rick is cool with it. But yeah, man, like, just the chat alone is funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's cool. I might hit him up. Yeah.
Doug Knight too, man. He's my buddy. I know him in real life. He's blind, and like, his comics, like, people, like, they're great. Like, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Yeah, man. A lot of good stuff going on, and it's kind of neat to check out for sure.
Cool. Well, man, I had a great time chatting with you. I hope we can do this another time.
Man, you let me know. This went really well, and I was really, really chilled out. I haven't even smoked anything, and I'm chilled out, homie. That's great.
I hope I can always have that effect on people.
Times.
All right, cool. Well, take it easy, and I'll hit you up soon.
All right, buddy. Take care.
All right, keep it psycho.